Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for 10 Talks Acadiana. It is a News 10's podcast. We are so happy today to welcome Carla Dean. Carla is the mother of Ashley Metz, a very beautiful young woman, native to Acadiana, native to Lafayette. And just, Carla, before we jump into our conversation today, we want to briefly mention and remind folks of what happened and who Ashley is. So in 2016 is the year that Ashley was murdered. And I remember speaking to you very shortly after, but Ashley and Brooklyn Hill, who was her boyfriend at the time, they were both murdered. And the suspects have been arrested and are now awaiting the sentencing phase, I understand, of their trial. And when I say she was murdered, I want folks to understand, Carla, just how tragic this was and how horrific it was, because Ashley was guilt by association, if you will, and I do recall the news stories that we did, and she was found, she was burned, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us, can you share with our audience how you got the information, how it came to you, and what you understood I want to say the circumstances of her death?
Well, actually, I was watching it on the news, not aware of, my normal day of watching news and just getting information. And then they started talking about 2 homicides that had happened earlier in the morning hours. So her and I had an appointment that day at the DMV. And because she's always late to go places, I started calling her and she wasn't answering. So I just kind of was, watching the news, and as the morning was going on, I received a call from the place where she had purchased her car, which on that morning we were going to do the paperwork. And when the place called me, he kind of asked about me about her, I'm sorry. And I said, well, no. And he said, is she fine? And I said, sure she is. So just went on continuously calling her because she would sleep. She was a very hard sleeper. And I said, well, let me go ride over there. Let me go and wake her up. So when I pulled up, her car was not there. So it's like, okay. Well, then the owner of the car lot called me back again. And he said, you sure your daughter's okay? And I said, yes. Why are you calling me and asking me that? So he proceeded to tell me that there was a homicide, and he told the sheriff's department they had the wrong person or place, but the car had registered back to his car lot because we hadn't completed, the transaction of purchasing the car. So it kind of raised a little red flag. And then I realized, okay, she's not home. She's not calling me back. It's going to her voicemail. Something is not right. So I took it upon myself to call the sheriff department, explain to them what I had saw and who I was. And the lady said, okay, hold on. And I remember being at the corner of Eras Landry and Bertrand in the turning lane. And the lady calls me. Well, she comes back from me being on hold, and she said, are you at home? And I said, no, ma'am, I'm not. And she said, someone's going to come over to talk to you. And at that moment, I knew that what I was watching was about her.
Wow.
Yes. And I said, please give me about 5 minutes. I said, because I'm driving and I'm getting so weak. I said, I just need to get home. I never tried calling her after that. I just waited. And I sat outside maybe 10, 15 minutes. And when I saw the sheriff department pull up, and every day, like I do every time I sit outside, I saw these 2 detectives coming up the sidewalk. And I knew it was her.
Wow.
I knew it was. Just a mother's intuition, because, after calling her so many times, well, she knew I was getting a little, fueled up about it because she would be late.
Right.
But it just told me, I put it all together, and they looked at me and their faces, and I said, it's her. It's her. And they didn't want to. And of course, that's a hard thing to do, but I knew it was her.
We're going to get back to that moment. What I want to explain is what I referred to earlier when I introduced you and the story behind Ashley Guilt by Association.
Yes.
Ashley had a budding career in modeling.
Yes.
We all saw her pictures. We
Yes.
all knew where she was going, such a beautiful young lady. I had the privilege of actually meeting her on several occasions. I've known you for some time
Yes.
here in Lafayette. We're friends.
Yes.
And we're in the community together.
Right.
But I'd only recently met Ashley, and what a bright spot. But she was dating someone who, by all accounts, Ashley's a good judge of character.
Right.
Had some issues
Right.
that she obviously thought that she could work through
Yes.
with him. Tell us about that.
Ashley always gave people the benefit of the doubt. She would say, Mom, I know that's not, you don't like him. And I had to explain to her, it's not that I don't like him, because that's, that's a hard word.
Right.
I said, but I want you to have and be better. Sometimes people are going to be in your company because they want to ride on your tailcoat to make it up. And you can't take everyone with you where you're going. And she understood that, but still, I mean, she did like him. The relationship was fairly new.
Right.
Maybe going into the 3rd month.
Wow.
But I had gone there 2 months prior, and I had a conversation with him. I went to her apartment. I was working out of town then, and I said, this is just too heavy on my heart. So I went over there, and I talked with him. And my last words to him was, I hope my daughter does not get hurt or killed behind you. And that was exactly 2 months. Before. Mother's intuition.
Yes.
Mother's intuition.
It's a real thing.
Yes.
So, fast forwarding those 2 months, let's talk about what the officer shared with you, what you learned about what happened to her, and then we're going to move forward, because
Okay.
I know that you are doing this, Carla, because as you told me, it's to help others. We
Yes.
see so much senseless
Yes.
killing
Yes.
these days, and I can feel from you that 2016 is a year on the calendar, but that year never left you.
No, and honestly, it never will. You relive the day. It was 5 years in June, but it seems like 5 seconds, always. You just have that hope, that little bit of hope that, oh, that's her. That's her cutting across the yard. You knew it was her. Her muffler wasn't on her car, and she loved the way it sounded. Why? I don't know. And I knew it was her. And to hear a key in my door,
Maybe.
tingling, oh, just maybe, and I know, but just maybe that's her, and it's not her walking in. So you to the point, you know what, I'm going to change my door. I'm going to change the keys because it's too much. Yeah. It's almost like you have to retrain your thoughts. And just like you're born, you have a newborn, you have to get accustomed to the baby being in your life. Well, you have to be accustomed to not having your baby in your life. And that's harder than, getting accustomed to someone who has just come into this world. So it changes your life, and it changes it forever.
So unfortunately, on that evening in 2016, Ashley and Brooklyn, met their fate.
Yes.
Through people he knew.
Yes.
And Ashley was murdered. She
Yes.
was shot.
Yes.
Is what I understand.
She was shot and she was murdered. And she was shot, and then they did set her car on fire.
And she was inside?
And she was inside. At first, I did not know, but later on, well, let me just say, a part of last year, I found out she had inhaled, and she had some remnants in her lungs. So it's possible, but it's not proven, that she may still have been alive before she was burned. And I had not known that before. Right.
And so these are the sort of things that you're, not things, but information you're having to deal with as the legal process continues, because the suspects have not been sentenced just yet.
No, they have not. Hopefully that is coming soon. But to have to relive and hear what they say, it's challenging as a mother because you feel that you are always there to protect your babies. What could I have done? You know, that's what I struggle with. Was she crying out for me? You know, that's the worst part. I know she's in a better place, but I would prefer to have her here, paralyzed, burned, but she would still be here. You know, than to just have those memories, but I have such good memories of her, and that's what keeps me going.
Carla, we're going to take a short break. When we
Okay.
come back, we are going to talk about how you made it through to this point. I know the community and your family has been a big part of that.
Yes.
And I wanted to hear more about your plans to help people who are
Sure.
suffering such heartbreak
Yes.
as you have.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. We are speaking with Carla Dean. She is the mother of Ashley Metz, a Lafayette native and an upcoming model on the world stage, to be honest with you. And you can
Yes.
Google her and you can see her pictures. In 2016, Carla's family suffered something that no one should have to or would want to. Ashley was murdered brutally, along with her boyfriend, Brooklyn Hill, in 2016. Of course, the suspects, the perpetrators, are being brought to justice, but
Yes.
you are having to live through the court proceedings with the sentencing phase still not quite done yet, expected
Right.
sometime in the fall.
Late fall or early part of next year. We definitely should be wrapping things up. We're to that point.
Carla telling us in the first part of this podcast that she actually found out about her daughter's death. She saw it on the news. You saw
Right.
it here on TV 10. And while there were no names released, you've been trying to contact her that day
Right.
and was unsuccessful.
Yes.
So we are now talking about, and just giving you guys a little background in case you missed that part, Carla is now going to tell us how she's made it through this nightmare, this tragedy. It took me a while, honestly, to, and Ashley is not my baby,
Right.
to really understand and absorb that and accept it. How are you now?
I'm living. I can tell you that you can't prepare how you're going to live. You just take it one day at a time. And really, it's by the second, because I can be so, oh, I'm going to have a good day, and, you know, in a blink of an eye, I'm going to stay home. And that's not my personality, and you know that.
That's right.
But I know that's not how she would want me to be. I've always been considered as the strong sister, you know, in the family, the baby, but the strongest one. And I really think now that's a gift, because I often question, how am I making it? You know, day by day, of course, I keep God first. That is really who is keeping me going. But I have moments when I break down, and the breakdown is so bad, but it just makes me stronger every time I come up.
And there's no right or wrong
No.
when it comes to the
No.
grieving process.
Right.
I think, as you just so poignantly said, it's most important to keep going, to take each day as it is.
Yes.
And so when you have those days where you are very emotional about it, you let that emotion
Yes.
come through, and then you move forward
And
to
then
the next day.
yes, because you can feel it building up. And I mean, it could be something so simple like a song, a commercial, you know,
Even
anything.
sense, like a
Yeah.
smell. Something can remind
Right,
you.
exactly. And once you go to that breaking point, you come back and you're stronger until the next breakdown. You know, that's just
Until
how
the
it is.
next
But
part.
but it's normal. But it's life.
Yeah.
And you know, and one thing I can say, the worst thing you can do is block it in your mind. I love talking about it because I know there is someone else that I can help. I hope I can. There's plenty of people, several people have reached out to me, and I hope they continue. Maybe they can pull some strength off of me to help them going.
And give you strength as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we're seeing a lot of violence in our community, and a lot of people are saying, you know, it's just increasing. I think what has happened because of technology and over the last 10, 20 years is our ability now to have access to the information. What would you like for our viewers to know? As you just said, it's bringing it forward and talking about it. What is your mission now? Because I know that you said that you want to help other families who are going through the same.
Communication is a plus, and communication with families, parents, whether they're single parents or they have both parents in the household. You have to have some type of communication with your kids, so that if there are problems or issues, they should be able to open up to you. I have done that since my girls were babies. And I mean, they didn't come to me with everything, but they knew how I felt about certain things. And I was their friend, but I was always their mother. So that makes a difference. And parents cannot be afraid to tell their kids the right thing. Don't let them believe or accept that the wrong is okay. You know, you have to keep that
hold them accountable.
Yes, yes. And you tell them, if you get in trouble, that's on you.
This is what's going to happen.
Right. You cannot pacify wrong. You cannot do that. And if they do decide they want to take that path, then that's fine. But you are the person that's going to have to suffer those consequences. So I think it starts with the parenting. I think a lot of parents are being too lenient on their kids. Like for us, we're old school, you know. And that's one thing I can say. She was a young lady, but she was so afraid of me. And I've met several people and she would say, but don't tell my mama. You know, and with these young kids now, you don't hear that. And these young kids today, I mean, it's horrible. And when you think about it, all this stuff is so senseless. They're trying to be leaders instead of followers, but the people that they're following are not going to be there for them when they get in trouble. You know, they're not.
Absolutely, and it is also that loss of just life and respecting life.
Yes.
It goes from 0 to 100 in seconds, where there's no thought process, there's no logic, they're not thinking about the permanent effects of their actions.
I've reached out to several young ladies that, you know, they do reach out to me, and I always tell them, you have to love yourself first. Self-love is the best love. You can't let no one control or tell you what to do, especially if you know it's wrong. You know, with Ashley's case, she knew, but, oh, Mom, give him the benefit. And yes, she did like him. But Darla, years ago, we had boyfriends that our parents didn't, you know,
and
approve
that one time
of,
was the only time.
Or that look.
Saw, the look, yes, the eyes.
You know, but the generation has changed. Their thoughts, their thinking process is not the same. And we can only do so much, but they have to make the effort to want to change for the better and before it's too late. Because it's like they're killing each other like they're buying a new pair of shoes. You know, like that's the thing to do. When years ago the guys used to fight, and they would fight till they got tired, and then they would stop. You know, and they may have had a tooth missing, you know, or a black eye, but they were still alive.
That's right.
Once you pull that trigger or do whatever, you cannot change that. You can't. There's nothing you can do. But if you do it, own up to it. You have to own up to it. Once you make that decision, you have to own up to it. But the parents have to be aware of what their kids are doing. You have to. And some of them just overlook it. It happens every day.
Every single day.
But you have to be the mother or father that you are, and you have to remind these kids, I am your mother. You know, you may not want to, but then look what happens. You know, so It
when
has
the
to
parents don't
change.
step up. Absolutely.
Right, right.
Carla, you have such a big voice, and I'm not just referring to here. I'm speaking of your spirit, of you sharing this heartache time and again, so that the message, you can drive your message home.
Yes.
And when I say big voice, many of you who are listening to Carla or are watching, you know that she is a local DJ.
Yes.
And so let's talk about your career, how what has happened to you has impacted you in that aspect, because you certainly have a platform
Yes.
to express.
Yes.
So
Decided I wanted to start DJing, and in 3 months it made a complete 360. I always had the personality to go with the music. I just decided later in my life that I would do it. And I mean, currently I'm working for a radio station, and it's amazing because I meet people in the store and I start talking and they go, wait a minute.
I know that voice.
Yes. You know, and it's so funny. And, well, can I take a picture and this? And I am the only person, so to speak, that my best friend tells me is that I'm the only person that does not know who I really am. And it makes sense because I just want to enjoy life. I always did, but even more now because she's been going. So you have to overlook all the little simple things because that's what they are. I've recently been, and I'm now with GCE Presents. I have recently become the personal assistant for the promoter, and I'm going to do some traveling, not right now, because I'm still not accustomed to getting off the ground.
That means she doesn't fly, y'all.
Right. So I have to get to the point where I keep saying, y'all don't hear those wheels? What is that noise? And really it's just the wheels going up. Yeah. But it's an experience, and I've been honored.
Let's tell our listeners who GC is, because this is major.
Yes, GCE is Eddie Floyd, and he is from Lafayette, Louisiana. He's been here all his life, but he did move away after he graduated from high school, and he has brought concerts to Lafayette for years.
And we're talking major
Yes,
stars. We're not
yes,
talking.
no. So we just didn't know that it was him. So of course I worked for the radio station, and when I found out about the concerts before the pandemic, well, let me, reach out and see if he want to do some advertisement, And then they give me his phone number, and we start talking, and he goes, "Is this Carla from Holy Rosary?" And I said, "Eddie, is that you?" And it's amazing because he graduated 2 years from Holy Rosary before I did.
Before you did. Unbelievable. So you guys have a concert I'm excited about, and I know the tickets went on sale today.
Yes.
You've got Genuine, you have...
Yes.
Look, I've forgotten all the stars.
The first concert is October 23rd, and it's Raheem Devon and Layla James.
Yes.
So I don't want to give y'all too much, but it's 3 concerts all at one time. John B is coming, Genuine, Chrisette Michelle.
Chrisette, yes.
Yes, and all tickets went on sale today for all 3 concerts.
Wow.
Yes.
This is so exciting.
It is, and the amazing thing is they all have a live band.
Oh gosh, you see, you just can't beat live music.
No.
And we're gonna probably wrap things up here, Carla. Of course,
Okay.
you said tickets went on sale today. Ticketmaster, the Hyman Center.
Ticketmaster, make sure it's Ticketmaster and the Hyman Center.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome sauce. And I want to say congratulations to
Thank
you.
you.
On your career development and your career moves that's happening for you. I want to thank you for being such an inspiration to everyone. A reminder for those of us who take things for granted, and also for people who are hurting, because so many are with all of the shootings.
Right.
I mean, I'm right here every day, unfortunately, having to report them.
Right.
I want to thank you for your strength and your sunshine.
Welcome. And I also want to say before I do
Sure.
leave, Darla, if there's anyone out there that would like to reach out to me, I am on Facebook. Any little words of encouragement that I can give, I will. One day in my free time that I'm running out of, I'd just like to just have a meeting or just to sit down and talk with moms who have gone through.
And that's, what
What
I was
I've
going to
gone
actually
through.
invite the same, to let us know, Carla, how we can help you promote that. We too have a Facebook page, of course,
Okay.
and we invite our viewers to log onto our page. They can visit, they can post anything that helps move the community forward, especially when we're seeing such trying times. It's not just the violence. We're dealing with the pandemic and everything else.
Right.
But the violence, as you said, has got to stop.
Yes, and even if the kids are still alive or have not passed away, sometimes moms need encouragement, and dads can come as well, just to get that little push, right, just to know it's okay. But I want it to be something very comfortable, kind of like a pajama night, you know, where we can feel comfortable, because some people, you have to pull it out of them. And again, I said the worst thing you can do is not talk about it.
That's right, which is nothing.
Right.
The worst thing you can do is
That's right, that's right.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it. And we appreciate you for coming by
Thank you again.
and sharing so much with us.
Thank you, anytime.
All right, you've been listening to Acadiana, 10 Talks Acadiana, rather, KLFY's podcast. And of course, you can get our podcast wherever you listen to them. And we invite you to continue tuning in, because we have some wonderful folks like Carla stopping by to share so much with us. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.